Hey guys, I'm a Night Siren, and today we're going to be continuing the insane SpongeBob fanfiction, No Going Back by richiesan. Now, last time when we were reading, Plankton showed up and he seemed to have mafia ties, and then SpongeBob gets kidnapped, and it reveals to be Gary, so we really don't know what's going on. There was some huge cliffhanger. But today we're going to be continuing and hopefully learning what the heck's happening as we start Chapter 6, No Mercy. Gary's eyes focused on SpongeBob. Hello, SpongeBob. Gary slithered through the bolted door, slamming it behind him. It seems the tables have turned. He had a glare in his eye. SpongeBob had a sense not to speak. Notice your shackles are placed at each appendage. That is not an accident. Gary, what are you even saying? SpongeBob shouted. Mr. Sponge, you're about to experience the most rigorous test of your spongitude. He turned to a monitor. Narak, he paused. He pushed a series of buttons. Start. I'm sorry. The machine whirred and made a suction noise. I've set the dial to 1. It goes to 5. Let's test your absorbency. SpongeBob pleaded and cried, but Gary fed off his tears. Water sprayed from the rooftops. SpongeBob took every last drop of water. SpongeBob ballooned up, fatter than Mrs. Puff after her wife left her. What? Mrs. Puff had a wife? Say what? Drops began to drip out of SpongeBob's holes. This is starting to sound kinky. Splattering the neat concrete floor. We just waxed, Gary exclaimed. SpongeBob was sweating, too full. You look thirsty, Spongy. He pushed a button and another wave of water poured down. SpongeBob couldn't breathe. His lungs were filled. Good. Good. You make a good sponge, but do you make a good cook? SpongeBob pulled at the chains of his feet. I'm a great fry cook! Water shot out of his lungs into Gary's eye. Screech! Gary shivered. You've blinded my eye! You always ruin everything in my life! Water is not gonna blind you! What the hell? Gary circled around and pressed a button. Suddenly SpongeBob felt hot, and not the normal hot he felt on a Saturday night. He felt a scalding sensation on his back. He was being cooked, like the innocent patties he murdered every day. Can't take the heat. Gary's eyes locked with Mr. Square. Malice erupted from his core. SpongeBob was in pain, finally, but he did not feel complete. Would you like pickles with that? He giggled evilly. You forgot the pickles! Sorry. This is what you get for being a horrible father, for being neglectful and drunk. He pressed another button. The dial was at 3 now. You're the reason Mom killed herself. What? Gary screamed. Do you like bubbles, SpongeBob? A bubble enclosed SpongeBob, slowly shrinking. I can't breathe. Please, Gary. The bubble shrank and shrank, creating a plastic wrap around SpongeBob. His chest felt constricted. Oh my god, this is like torture porn. He couldn't even wiggle. It felt like his whole body was being squeezed. His gills felt like they were going to explode, and his body was showing it too. His face was turning from a light red to a dark purple. The world was fading in and out. Just before it was too late, the bubble popped. How do you like that? Does it feel good? Gary chuckled. Was all SpongeBob could force out of his voice box. He was choking now. Gary was smiling. Gary took out a cigarette and lit it. I thought Gary was pregnant. Oh, now you're smoking? What about the baby? SpongeBob asked with one eye closed. It swelled so much he couldn't open it. Gary took a long drag before responding. I did what I had to do. I did what I had to. Just like you do. The smoke puffed out of his mouth in almost perfect-shaped rings. Why? Why are you doing this? SpongeBob pleaded. The body could only handle a certain threshold of stress, and he was reaching it. Not much time left. You kicked us out. Tossed us out on the street like we were garbage. David, my baby, Daddy tried to keep us together for as long as he could. Got shot after he tried to steal snail food. It didn't take long for the bullet that tore through his body to kill him. It gets in the way. You're my bullet, Gary said. He was crying. No matter now. It's time I turned this thing up to 4. I feel like it hasn't been that long since he kicked him out. I mean, that was fucking fast. A boatmobile descended from the ceiling. Its engine revved up and started moving towards SpongeBob. It was moving slowly, but it would hit him soon. You can't drive for shit. You're always crashing into shit, and this is the price you have to pay for that. Gary pressed a button and the boat revved up more. Its speed increased. Gary, no, it's gonna hit me! It's gonna hit me! The boat pressed into his body and he felt a crunch in his torso. The pain was almost unbearable. How could a living being do this to another? Oh God, Gary, please! But Gary remained stoic. 5. 2 tubes appeared in the upper corner of the room across from him. This is where you meet your end. The thing that was always going to destroy you from the start. The thing that destroyed everything. Gary explained. A low hum emanated from the tubes, and the flow of liquid followed soon after, pouring out a dark amber liquid. Alcohol. SpongeBob had recently been diagnosed with liver and prostate cancer. Surely more alcohol would ruin this, but he would bask in it just for a while. The room was filling up now, and Gary had erected a platform for him and Narak. Who is Narak? SpongeBob said. Oh, kill me, please. His voice faint. Oh, it is the reverse form of Karen. Get it? Narak, Karen, flipped. The wife of Plankton. Such a respectable business partner was able to find me a wife. He smirked. It was okay. Gary would live just fine without SpongeBob. He had Plankton, who had untold riches. He had Narak, a computer wife alike to Karen. But SpongeBob had no one. No one at all. He once had Sandy, but she met her bitter end just like everyone else did. If only she were still around, maybe he could be saved. Even if she was around, would she even make it in time? All this not even mentioning Patrick. The one that started this downward spiral. Why did he have to die? Just for a second, SpongeBob wished it was him in front of that knife and not Patrick. The knife burrowing down towards Patrick's sternum and opening it wide on the street. No one even did anything either. They all just sat in indifference, not wanting to intervene in fear of being involved with whoever that man was. SpongeBob could remember his voice now. In the haze the alcohol was giving him. It was the same. The same as the man who approached him at the house that one day. It felt like a regular day to SpongeBob, breaking into his own home just so he could go to sleep. But that man, he couldn't see him. All he had was the voice to go off of. The voice was all he needed. The man who killed Patrick was behind him the whole time. SpongeBob gasped. It couldn't be over. It's never over. Gary, stop! You're killing me! He pleaded once more. Oh, SpongeBob. That's the point. You ruined my life. So I'm going to ruin what's left of yours. That's the way the world works now. Sorry, but no mercy here. Roll credits, Gary responded. No, you don't understand. My time is running out anyway. I tested positive for cancer. Gary turned the machine off. Cancer? Gary gasped. He turned the machine off. A second time, I guess. What are we doing? Narak said in a robotic voice. Turn the machine back on. No, Gary whispered. The sponge must die, Narak commanded. She rolled towards the machine to press the on button, but Gary pushed her into a pool of alcohol, shorting her out. This can't be happening. No. Gary said it over and over. Sponge, Dad, I can't do this. I just can't. SpongeBob glanced up at Gary. I always thought I'd be able to do it, but I can't. I fucking can't. After everything, fuck! He was sobbing now. The alcohol in the room was draining, and all that was left on the ground was sponge blood and Narak's now deceased computer. I've always wanted you dead. And now that you're on the brink, I can't. After it all, I'm going to miss you. He yelled out and descended from the platform. I can't do this. I have to go. No snail had moved faster than Gary at that moment. SpongeBob was left alone to his thoughts again, and the room was empty. SpongeBob waited for 3 days in that room. In his outbreak, Gary had forgotten to untie him. SpongeBob was left to think, and for those 72 hours he had come to terms with what a piece of shit he was. He was rescued when a neighbor nearby smelled his BO, which was a mixture of hops and cleaning solution. Gary didn't come home for months. SpongeBob never asked where he went, but when he came home they talked. They sat down at their table, TV blinking in the background. I've gotten clean since we last met. Oh, shit. I've gotten clean since we last met. Gary was silent, probably ashamed. SpongeBob wore his nicest collar today. He'd been planning this for ages now. I don't expect you to come home right away. He crossed his hands. But I'm hoping you'll reconsider meeting me tomorrow. He wrote on a piece of paper, I know you hate me, but I also know you don't hate me enough to kill me. I can work with this. Just please hear me out. Gary left the pineapple. He called a cab prior. SpongeBob clenched his pen and waved and smiled as the car faded away. SpongeBob turned back into his house and cracked open a cold Frickers liquor. He sat on his couch and watched the calm static of his TV. That lying bastard. He finished his beer and walked to his bedroom. The floor was caked in broken glass bottles and body parts. He threw it against the wall. Glass sprayed the already ruined floor. The glass around the house was something similar to what his organs felt like. He refused treatment from the hospital and took a hefty prescription of painkillers. It wasn't long now. With his end coming, there was only one more place to go. Back to his roots. SpongeBob had to visit his parents. Well, that was something. That was something, alright. Let's see if there's any reviews for this chapter. Yes. Master of Boot, which if you remember this guy commented last chapter, he said, this was the first chapter with anything good happening. It's still brutal and bitter, but it feels so real. And honestly, I've felt like how SpongeBob feels. I'm glad you can relate to SpongeBob. And then a guest said, I'm so proud of this story. It's been saved to my bookmarks, and I'm putting it in my faves when I sign in. Thank you for this blessing. Yeah, I mean, this story is really great. Like, it's not taking itself too seriously, but at the same time, it's still, like, handling serious topics and stuff. So, I find it really interesting, if you ask me. I'm really wanting to get down to the whole nitty-gritty that is what happened to Patrick and stuff. Like, I wish they would. I just spoiled it for myself. Fucking hell. I clicked chapter 7 to look, and I looked at the bottom, and now I know what happened to Patrick. I won't spoil it for you guys, but I spoiled it for myself. Fuck me. That was an accident, because I didn't realize that the answer to the question I just asked was going to be in big, giant, bold letters. And no, I'm not going to edit out any, like, pause between that, because there was no pause. I literally said I want to know what happened to Patrick, and then saw the answer right after. Oh boy, okay, I'm kind of excited to get to chapter 7 now, but I'm done rambling. This was chapter 6 of No Going Back by richiesan, an insane SpongeBob fanfiction. I hope you guys liked it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm Midnight Siren, and I will see you guys next time.